There have been some big changes lately in the decentralized space, and some of those changes have been absolute paradigm shifts that we've been waiting on seemingly forever. The biggest of those probably being Bitcoin and Dogecoin's BRC-20 and DRC-20 protocols, respectively. These new implementations are indicating a huge shift in the way that blockchains are going to work going forward for the specific two blockchains that have been kind of limited up to this point. And how they're going to compete in the open market is going to change forever. So you are going to be able to build your business in these decentralized spaces in much better ways than has been possible on either of these two blockchains in the past. So today we're going to talk all about it. We're going to show you exactly what these new standards are, how they compare to the ERC-20 Ethereum standard that's been out there for years, and finally, why you should care even as a non-techie person, a marketer, a business person, etc. My name is Trent Kennelly. I'm a Web3 marketing strategist, and this is the best place for you to learn about Web3, NFTs, AI, and how to market it all. So if that sounds good to you and you're excited, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to my channel if you're into it, comment to let me know what you're thinking about doing in this new decentralized space that's upcoming. I would love to hear kind of what your thoughts and ideas are. Please do let me know down in the comments, but until then, let's get started. Okay, so what are these new standards? They're the Bitcoin and Dogecoin equivalents to the ERC-20 token standard from Ethereum. Now, you might be asking at this point, what is that? It's the standard that allows for tokens to be created on the Ethereum blockchain. So if you notice, Ethereum isn't the only Ethereum token. There's DAI, DYDX, Ocean, USDC, BAT, BANDS, WETH, on and on and on and on. And these all exist as tokens on the Ethereum blockchain to allow for a stronger decentralized economy on that blockchain more generally. So BRC-20 and DRC-20 are very simply the Bitcoin and Dogecoin standards that have been built for that same purpose, because up until now, neither Bitcoin nor Dogecoin had the ability for you to create your own tokens on their blockchains. There was just Bitcoin and there was just Dogecoin. But with this new standard, that game has changed, which has led to a lot of excitement in the market, even leading to a huge spike or two for Dogecoin and Bitcoin in recent days because people are so into this new concept. So the big question then is how BRC-20 and DRC-20 are different from the ERC-20 standard that's existed for years now. So we're going to go ahead and go through a comparison here, but I just want to say that I'm going to only really look at BRC-20, and the reason for that is that the DRC-20 standard is modeled after BRC-20. So it's almost exactly the same thing. Yes, there are some differences, but it's really not worth spending a lot of time on the video to do that because most of them are going to be, this is similar to that every time. It's boring. It's not interesting. So we're going to look just at BRC-20 going forward. And I want to start with the biggest difference here, which is how each standard is executed. So if you want to run an app or bot on the Ethereum blockchain, you need to write code in a language called Solidity. Then you upload that code to a blockchain, which is going to upload any assets or data to the IPFS, the interplanetary file system, which you can kind of think of as like the blockchain's server network, okay? It's external to the blockchain, but the blockchain calls to it for the data that it's looking for. And so then you use something like JavaScript or Python or whatever other coding language you want to interact with that contract, which is complicated, right? It's complicated to implement because you've got 3 points that you've got to deal with: the IPFS, the blockchain itself, and whatever coding language you're using to interact with those other two elements. So that can be hard to implement. It can be slow to actually get the information that you want, and it can be pretty expensive. BRC-20, on the other hand, writes data directly to a Satoshi, which, for the uninitiated, is like Wei in Ethereum. It is the smallest denomination of a Bitcoin, which is equal to 1/100 millionth of a Bitcoin. So an Ethereum Wei is much smaller than that. That's fine. It doesn't really matter. You get the idea that a single piece of a Bitcoin, the smallest possible piece, is called a Satoshi, and that is what it writes to. So it effectively kind of rejects smart contracts and that whole system out of hand. It's using a totally different method called an ordinals inscription to make this sort of thing happen, which effectively allows each Satoshi to become an NFT or whatever you want it to be, which has huge advantages over the ERC-20 standard because it allows for deeper on-chain integration and faster information transfer and more flexibility with what you do with each Satoshi. Because remember, data via the ERC-20 smart contract system is stored off-chain via the IPFS, which requires extra time to bring back to the chain to be manipulated in the ways that you want. If you just think of it like information that's on your computer versus information that's on your Google Cloud server or something, it is a little bit slower to get the information off the Google Cloud server because it's coming from somewhere else. There still is a physics element to it that makes it slower because it's not right where you need it to be right at the second that you need it to be there, okay? But anything that is on chain or on your computer is easier to access. It's much faster, right? Which also means that it's easier to manipulate the ways that you want to manipulate it, which means that it's probably going to cost a lot less too. That said, there are some other differences that need to be considered, and one of those is the development ecosystem. Now, I know I'm not talking to a bunch of developers here. That's okay. We're not talking to programmers, but this is still very important even if you're not a programmer, because a lot of the tools that are used to put out ERC-20 tokens, NFT smart contracts, and more on the Ethereum blockchain aren't there for Bitcoin. A great example of this is ThirdWeb. So you know this tool if you've ever looked for an easy way to build and execute a smart contract for whatever you've been building without having to get deep into the code. Effectively, it's a tool that allows users to easily and almost without thinking, just create a smart contract for a huge number of use cases. Creating your own token, creating an NFT collection smart contract, token trading, etc. This has honestly been the best bridge between tech-savvy creators and those that are less tech-savvy but still want to get involved in the new decentralized future. And as of right now, this doesn't really seem to exist for BRC-20 or DRC-20. That said, it's pretty easy to transition this for a company like ThirdWeb because all they need to do is adapt the offerings that they currently have to the new protocols, and probably you can expect this weakness to be fixed fairly soon as a result. I'm not saying that it's free or easy, because I'm not a programmer, so I couldn't tell you. But I am saying that it is possible for them to do it because they're already predisposed with the offerings that they have, so it should be fixed pretty quick. And one more big difference that needs to be pointed out, use cases. So currently BRC-20 has 3 use cases. You can use it to create tokens, to trade those tokens, and create NFTs. Now, don't get me wrong, this is probably the baseline of what should be possible anyway. I mean, after all, token variety and NFTs are some of the cornerstones of the new decentralized ownership model, but that still doesn't compare to what ERC-20 offers. Because along with everything Bitcoin is doing, you can also develop dApps. You can check out this video for more information on that. You can develop games, you can build interactiveness on those blockchains, and that just is not possible with Bitcoin yet. Okay, so you can pretty clearly see that the underlying technology behind BRC-20 is ultimately better than that behind ERC-20. But in all other ways, the ERC-20 protocol is generally superior. So why should we care about BRC-20 and DRC-20 at all? And the answer is that honestly, as fantastic as ERC-20 is, the benefits right now are all of the things that are built on top of the protocol. Metaverses like Decentraland, dApps like OpenSea, and exchanges like Uniswap are all built on top of ERC-20 because it's existed for a long time. It's the thing that has been there. The fact is that all of these things are inevitably going to come to BRC-20 and DRC-20 as well. And more than that, they're probably going to get there a lot faster than they ever did with ERC-20 because Bitcoin doesn't have to hunt for the right solutions to put out there right now. They can just follow what Ethereum already put out there because they know that Ethereum users are already using it and they already like it. It's like the Burger King strategy from the 90s. So back then, McDonald's would spend millions of dollars a year scouting locations, dealing with vendors, and looking for exactly the right spots to place their restaurants across the world. And I mean, they still do that, right? There were and there still are teams of people in the company that are just dedicated to finding the right locations to build new restaurants. And what does Burger King do? Every time McDonald's stands up a new restaurant, Burger King finds a spot across the street and they stand one up too. They let someone else do all of the work and then they reap the rewards. That's exactly what Bitcoin can do right now. And what this ultimately means is that the ecosystem that we have for pushing out our own content, our own decentralized products and services is going to explode. Now, you might hear that and think, yeah, but we also have Domo out here saying that all of this is going to be worthless because everything is still in beta. And you're right, that is entirely possible. But I think we should frame this the right way because generally speaking, there are 2 answers to the question, what does beta mean? There's the beta test from an unknown source that could equally lead to huge explosive growth or absolute crickets and a canceled launch. Or there's the type of beta test that Bitcoin has issued, which has enough publicity and heft behind it that, as long as they read the room well, makes it really hard for this not to be successful. I mean, they're Bitcoin, right? They're an enormous name in this area. And when you add to this point that Bitcoin and Dogecoin have both seen huge upticks in transactions, purchases, and purchasing power since introducing these protocols, it'll make you pretty comfortable in believing that this is just the new normal and it's just starting right now, so you want to get in on it. So there you have it. This is an amazing new area that's going to help the space grow a lot faster. When you have a big name like Bitcoin in the mix, it just adds to the clout of a move like this so much more. So let me know how you're planning on using this standard right now. I would love to know your thoughts. And if you want to let me in on your secrets, you don't have to, about what you're planning for the future as it grows, I would love to know. Otherwise, make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel if you're into it, and I will catch you in the next one.